And good evening and welcome to City Focus. I'm Marty Olsen, your host, and I'm delighted to welcome back Coach TAMMY MILLSAPS of the New London High School girls basketball program. And I need to add the caveat, state championship coach. So congratulations.
Well, thank you for having me tonight. Thank you for having me. Got a little sore throat from coaching all weekend, but I think I'll be all right.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Try not to have you overexert yourself here. We're keep it light, have some fun, and discuss your successes this past season and what your plans are for the future. And you know, this past year, you had a pretty small squad, 7 players, and it appeared I didn't get a chance to see your team play until probably later in the season. Okay. And it seemed like you were playing 5-6 players. Yeah. The entire game, so that didn't leave a lot of room for error.
It did, yeah, it didn't. I mean, this was one of those seasons where you just had to figure it out. We had 7 on the roster, but there were times when we really only played 5 kids. But that's what practice and preparation and getting ready and game planning will help you do. When you don't have the numbers, you really have to critique what you're doing and really clarify what the expectations are so the kids know and the staff knows what's going to be expected. And I think we did a solid job, both as a staff and our players this year.
Yeah, well, the end result certainly achieved success, and you also scheduled teams out of the area to, I think, try to give your squad an opportunity to kind of get the feel for what would be lying ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had that mindset ever since I transitioned down to the high school level. I want to play the best teams in the region. I'm not afraid to go to Boston. I'm not afraid to go to New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania if we have to. I just want to play the best teams so when we do reach those tough games, the quarterfinals, the semifinals, we're down by 10, we're up by 7. And we've been in those situations. I feel confident my team is going to be able to be successful because we played great competition.
That certainly is important. You got to improve. You got to play against better competition. You can't be pounding people and expect to improve.
Absolutely.
So, well, that was terrific. And I think the first game I saw your team play this year was at home against Bacon Academy.
Okay.
And. And Bacon was, I believe, was supposed to have been one of the premier teams in the league, along with New London. And that particular evening, I seen both teams struggled a little bit there, trying to get their bearings and get a smooth flow. Yeah. But if I'm not mistaken, New London won that game.
We did. I know that was one of the games where we always seem to have challenges with Bacon. I think because they have pretty good size. They have some really skilled players, and they really do a good job of keying on our more talented kids. What I mean by that is the kids, they know they're going to be able to put the ball in the basket. And they're kind of like us where they're going to game plan and make sure that they make it tough for the best players to be able to be effective in the game. And so those make for quality games. So those are kind of games that you want. You want those rugged games where your team is not playing so well, the ball's not going in the basket, we're turning it over, not making free throws, not sure. But at the end, if you can pull those kind of games off, those are games that give you the really, really mental toughness when you move forward in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, and that's very, very true. And your squad this year, you had 2 I would say exceptional players. Ms. Dudley, Nalise, is that how you pronounce her first name?
Yep, Nalise.
And I mean, she was talented enough to be recruited, and I guess she's made a commitment to D1 Sacred Heart. Is that correct? Yeah.
So Nalise, senior this year, had a great, unbelievable season. I think she would tell you she didn't think she was going to play that well. I knew that she had the talent. You could see it coming on toward the end of last year. I mean, in the quarterfinal game, she led us. She scored 35 points against one of the best players in the state of Connecticut, moved on and played at Seton Hall. So you could see that she had the skill set. But this year, it was a little different for her. I think she excelled more because she had the ball in her hands, because we had to put the ball in her hands. Teams were going to press us. We didn't have such strong ball handlers. So teams pressed us. So she had the ball in her hands more, which means to give her opportunities on the offensive boards. And not just offensive boards, but more opportunities for three-point shots, drive to lane, get fouled, drive and dish. So, and she took advantage of that. And she struggled early on. If you'd watched us play against some of the better teams, played a team out of Boston, they pressed the entire game. We turned the ball over. But then she figured it out. What she did was she allowed herself to utilize her strength, but also use her teammates, not try to run through two people. So if I got two people on me, somebody got to be open. So now I'm going to get the ball up. So she learned through making a lot of mistakes early how to really be effective this year.
Well, a lot of coaching goes into that.
Yeah, Nalise took a lot of coaching this year. What I mean by that is last year she played primarily at the 3 spot and played a little bit of post, but this year she played predominantly point guard. She's not a point guard. But what we had to teach her was strategy. We had to teach her if there's a 2-on-1, how to utilize your body to get open. Because a lot of people double teamed, a lot of people face guard her to take the ball out of the basket. So just teaching her how to turn your body and utilize your body against the defense in order to get where you want to be. So all those small things that you don't see on film, she was able to make sure that she got better at those things as the season went along.
And that was rather evident because as a fan, just watching the games, I mean, she seemed to be able to do what was necessary at a given point in time. I mean, whether it was ball handling or rebounding, outside, inside, shooting, defense, block shots. She was the all-purpose player. And I think that the team collectively also looked to her for to step it up like all the time.
The team looked at her and the coach looked at her. Let's don't get it twisted. We knew at the end of the game who we wanted the ball in the hands of. We wanted the hands and the ball in Nalise. So she can make decisions. She can get to the free throw line. She could put the ball in the hands of their double team, make the appropriate pass. So no fool. Not only the team knew, but the coach knew too.
Yeah. Now she's stepping up and going to go to Sacred Heart next year. That's down in Fairfield, Bridgeport.
Yes, sir.
And they play, I'm trying to think if they play in the same league that India Pagan played in when she was at Stony Brook.
I'm not sure if Sacred Heart is in that. They're in the NEC. No, are they in the NEC? MAC or NEC? NEC, I think they're in NEC. I can't recall which conference they're in. But she's going to, I get away from so much of people ask me about a player and what do you think. She's going to have the same struggles that I had as a player and everybody else. When you go to college, it's a transition. Some people can step in and be flawless and just figure it out. But majority of kids who play at the next level, whether it be Division I, II, or III, NAIA, JUCO, there's a transition of challenge there where you're putting it all together. You go into class, you get on the bus for games, you got to lift weights, you got to come back for study hall. They want you up taking extra shots. You meeting with your academic counselor, you meeting with the head coach, you're watching film. There's a lot that goes into it. And so
the quality of the players are all stepped up.
Yeah, the quality, everybody has come with some kind of special credentials. All state, all conference, player of the year, they all come with something great. And so she's stepping into that pot with a bunch of kids who the coaching staff think can be special and feel like she can add to the mix.
Well, that'll be terrific, and I hope to have an opportunity when she moves up to the next level to watch her play at Sacred Heart. When India, and you had Jada Lucas working with you this year, she went to Hartford, and it was nice to be. I like to follow our kids when they get to the next level when I'm able to. I want them to know that there are people in the community who care about them and are interested in what they're doing and how they're performing. Yeah,
sometimes kids get forgotten when they leave the high school level and they've done some great things and put up great numbers. Sometimes when they move on to the next level, fans are only thinking about the next set of kids coming in. But as a coach, we have to support our kids who move on because at the end of the day, they're there to play basketball, but we want to make sure that we support them, that they know that they're there for the academics too. Basketball is going to stop bouncing in a few years. Not everybody's going to have the opportunity to play overseas or play in the United States. So at the end of the day, you have to keep encouraging them because those academics are tough as well. I know a lot of people focus on the athletic piece is tough, but the academic transition to college is tough too.
Yeah, well, and a lot of that is time management, because when you're in high school, I mean, you started whatever time high school starts, and you're in classes for until 2 or 3 in the afternoon, then you go to practice.
Yeah.
It's very regimented. When you go to college, I mean, you may have 1 class in a day, or maybe 2 the next day.
Yeah.
So it may look like a lot of free time.
Yeah.
But it really isn't, and that's when you got to sit down and do your reading and your homework and your papers and all the other, and then basketball.
Yeah, yeah.
And the demands there, I'm sure the coaches expect you to do everything they want. They're not looking for you to say, well, you know, I got a test. You got
to fit the test into their schedule. Honestly, it's one of those things.
You do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But you know, they've got I think a good role model right there on the bench. Not only yourself, but I mean, Jada just finished up at Hartford. So I mean, she played, I think, 5 years up there, or 4 years.
5. She did play 5. She had the extra COVID year.
You know, and her first couple of years, she hardly got off the bench. But her last season, she played extensively and played well.
Yes, she did. Yep. So having Jada on the team was tremendous. You know, it's always great when you can have a former player come back who's won a state championship. I think, did Jada win 2 or 1?
At least one. She played in 2.
Gotcha. Maybe she played in 1, played in 2, and only won 1.
I think we played against one of your teams.
Yes, we did. They got the L. So anyway, we tease her about that. But what I was saying is great to have a player like Jada, because, especially a player with championship experience, because they know what it takes to prepare for a state championship. But she was great because she was. You know, sometimes on the staff, you got to have the good cop and you got to have the bad cop. So Jada was the good cop at times, because Coach Millsaps is going to really get on the kids about what we need to do. And Coach Lucas, and we got to remember, Coach Sawyer was my assistant too.
That's correct.
She's a former player.
You beat me to the punch there, but she was on that squad as well.
She was on that squad, and she's won a state championship. So they were the go-between when a kid is struggling, or if I'm really encouraging, they're just emphasizing more, encouraging more, and providing the kid and it really pumping the kid's self-esteem up. That's what you got to have quality assistants.
Now, are these 2 young women? Are they? Do you anticipate they'll be with you next season?
Coach Lucas will. However, Coach Sawyer is moving on. She's going to be in grad school next year. She's going to be at Northeastern up in Boston.
Okay. Getting
her master's in is it psychology? Some type of psychology, social psychology, yeah. So she'll be, I'll be with us next year. But Coach Ferraro is another former New London alumni who's probably will be back with us next season. So I'll probably be looking for another assistant to fill out the staff next year.
Well, that's terrific. And you're dressed this evening for basketball. So you mentioned on the way in that you're got AAU that you're working at this time. Are these youngsters working with you now with these squads, or is this something totally separate from high school? You're coaching, who you're working with, the players?
Well, all the kids on my AAU team, most of them, 95% are from New London. We have a few kids from Norwich, but they're all kids that go to Isaac, that go to Benny Dover, that go to Jennings. So they're all local kids. So they're all kids who are looking to transition into New London High School. And so my job is just to get them ready. Get them ready. First of all, they have to get used to me as a coach and the expectations. And so they can transition in a little bit easier than a kid who hasn't kind of been around. I know that I'm a tough cookie. I'm not going to lie about that. My expectations are very high, and I demand a lot from the kids, both from the basketball standpoint and their behavior in the classroom, their behavior in the hallways, and even their behavior in the community. So we expect a lot. So they need to know what we're trying to do at New London is build the entire person and the entire program. And you have to be able to do that, and you have to really be able to buy into that in order to be successful. Not just about putting the ball in the hole.
Well, you're absolutely correct. And sometimes I think it's hard for the teenagers to understand that it's not just about them. It's about the team and the school and the community.
Absolutely.
So, when they do well, it reflects well on the community, and if they conduct themselves professionally and well, and they're getting their grades and things. I mean, that's the thing, and you've emphasized this what I had you on a while back and this evening, is the importance of doing well in school.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're a poor student, the colleges, even if you're a good ball player, they may not want you. You may have to go to a junior college to bone up and get your grades in place before you can play at the next level.
Yeah, that's the way it is. The next level of college basketball in all sports is extremely competitive. Man, it used to be that a coach would take a kid, in general, if they saw a kid where they felt the kid wasn't quite ready and they could groom them a little bit more, they would take the kid and really work with him. Now, you got to be a little bit more polished, especially to transition to Division I. Why? Because there's something called the transfer portal, where kids who are not happy at their current collegiate institution can say, Coach, I'm leaving, and put their name in the hat and transfer, and then somebody will pick them up. And then that means you're already getting an experienced player who's played a year or 2 or 3 years of college basketball. So a lot of coaches, in a sense, would rather have a kid who's proven themselves than have a kid who hasn't proven themselves yet. So that's why college basketball is becoming more competitive for the scholarships.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I try to watch our 3 local schools, Coast Guard, Connecticut College, and Mitchell College, the men and the women.
Yeah.
And all the schools are in very competitive leagues. And Mitchell in particular is stepping up into a major league. I mean, the team up there at St. Joseph's, and I think it's West Hartford, the Glenn Miller coach, is a national powerhouse.
Absolutely.
With the men.
Yeah, definitely. Turn that program around in the matter of a couple of years.
Yeah, well, it was I think a brand new program. He
Brand
and
new
he and Calhoun, and he's a local guy. He went to Fitch.
That's right. He did go to Fitch. Yeah.
So he's doing good work there.
Yeah.
So you're getting the kids ready for life as well as winning ball games.
Absolutely, yeah. That's something that's not talked enough about, because sometimes you can see a really quality coach and people can see that you're winning games, but they don't realize behind closed doors what they don't see is going on in the locker room, what's going on in the team bus, what's going on in the classroom during study sessions where you're watching film. It's all about talking about life skills. This is what the game of basketball is. I know we marginalize it down to just being about athleticism and who's the best player. But this game, particularly for the women, because more women are going to move on into the professional level as opposed to going on to play overseas or playing in WNBA. So more of the women are more concerned and really care a lot about doing well academically. Sometimes I don't have to be on them as much because they are driven academically. But there are some kids who are not, where you have to really stay on them academically. But most women that I've coached at the high school and collegiate level, they've been highly motivated to be good student athletes.
Yeah, well, the opportunities have been there to make money in basketball.
Yeah.
So they've got to have that other plan 1A or 1B.
Yeah.
Another player of yours that stood head and shoulders above, literally and figuratively, is Ms. Lancaster, who was fun to watch, and her grandfather was a terrific ball player in his day.
I can see.
Which
He
goes
went to
back
New London?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Matter of fact, he had a head-on state tournament game with John Williamson when he was, I believe, at either Hill House or Wilbur Cross. That was legendary.
I see.
But was a fun player to watch as well, in terms of, and for her size, I think, again, from a lay position, that she stays within herself. I mean, she's like I say, she doesn't think that it all revolves around her. She meshes well with her teammates.
She really does. You said a statement there. You said she stays within herself. We're trying to get her to come outside of her comfort zone. And what we mean by that is, if you watched her play last year, Serenity was pretty much in her comfort zone. We pushed it, but she didn't get to that level where we wanted her to get the ball on a missed shot, get it, and start the break. She wouldn't do that last year. She would get the rebound, look for the guards, and allow them to push it up the court. Now, if you watched us in our season, that's what she did very well. It's the biggest change in her game.
She would take the ball.
She would take it, and if you saw it, she could get down that court really quickly and fast and cover ground with those long legs. and be able to make good plays, solid plays. So that's a part that she added to her game, but it took a lot of push. Just took confidence for her to see she could do it a few times.
Sure.
Because typically, she's dribbling down the court. When she dribbles, dribbles too high. We're like, get your dribble down. She's worried about guards coming to poke it from behind or losing her dribble against somebody who may come up to defend her, a smaller guard, and rip the ball away. But once she saw that confidence, that added to her game, which opened up her ability to handle in transition, but it also opened up her three-point games. You saw a couple of times she would come down and pull a three. So Serenity's just improving all over the place, not just putting the ball in the basket, but defensively. She improved defensively too with her, like block shots, right? A lot of people, you can't really teach a kid how to block shots. What I've learned is a lot of time it has to be instinctive, right?
Yep.
A kid's got to have an instinct of when to rotate over, when to jump. Do I knock it out of bounds? Do I block it and keep it in play? She just has a natural instinct of knowing when to do what. When can I come down and punch it out the gym, right? Yep. Punch it out of bounds, or keep it in place so we can get a transition basket. And that's a skill set she's developed her own. That's not something you can teach. There's some things in basketball that coaches won't take credit for. And I've learned that there's some things kids do instinctively that you can't teach. Yeah. And she's an excellent anticipator of block shots.
Yeah, well, a lot of being tall does not mean that you're going to be a good shot blocker.
No, yeah.
I mean, she's a little tall, and she's tall for a young woman, but she, as you say, I think she has that instinct, and she's
and she has great timing.
Yeah,
she has great timing. Not just if a kid turns around and shoots, she can block it. But if a kid is driving hard, she can kind of rotate her body and get timing and be able to block the ball away from the body of the offensive player to not get a foul. Which a lot of times when I would look, we were playing in the game, I would be like, damn, it's a foul, Serenity. Whistle. Ref never blew the whistle because she really learned how to use her body, block shots.
And she's fun to watch. And she's also has got a nice shot, and she's able to, again, work a little inside, outside.
Yeah. If
you she's only a sophomore, so she's got a couple of more years to play at the high school level and hone her skills.
If you ask Randy, she thinks she's a guard, which she is going to be at the next level. Obviously, if we got a kid 6'2", we got to put her in the post. But if you ask Randy, she'll tell you, I'm a guard, because she essentially will be at the next level. But we have to do what's best for the program. What's best for the program is get your 6'2" self down that block so we can throw the ball in there and you can score.
Yeah, well, there's not a lot of 6'2" women playing high school basketball. Right. I mean, that's college level. It's a different story.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very different story. And I might say too, at the championship game up at the casino, Nalisa's sister was outstanding.
Yep.
I mean, I can't say that I've watched her enough to see her body of work, but that particular game, for a freshman to be in that position, and when she took a shot, they went in, and she was not a running gun, but she got her shots when they were there, and she made the passes. She played tough defense. Yeah. She was, to a degree, more under control than her sister was that day.
Well, her sister was being double teamed. Her sister was being face guarded and double teamed. So what it did is it opened up but we've been practicing it all season. So when you have 7 kids, you realize that there's some, especially a kid like Nalise, who everybody knows is going to be an all-state player, had the opportunity to be state player of the year. You know that eventually, they know you don't have any subs on the bench. So you know there's somebody's strategy is going to box in 1 or triangle in 2, right? Yep. Take away Serenity, take away Nalise. So we practice a lot in the box in 1. It happened to be how the play's set up. Nayara gets open a lot on that box in 1 situation. It's not anything new that we haven't worked on. But if you see our team, it might look new because you haven't seen us. But Nayara has been a kid that you could see the potential rising throughout the season. Yeah. Now, when she first started, she was a fouling machine. First couple of games, foul, sub, foul, 4 fouls with going into the 4th quarter because she didn't know how to control her body. But once we really showed her how to play defense, how to utilize her body, she became a great defensive player first. But then she became a better offensive player when they started double teaming Nalise and dude was in a box of one against Serenity. She was open more. It was like, you got to shoot it. Who else going to get a ball too? Right? So then she would start to develop confidence. She would catch and shoot it. Then she would catch, shot fake, put it on the floor. So you could just see her game getting better game by game. We can see it as a staff because we're there every day.
Sure.
We're at practice, we're there. We can see it. We could see at first she was just a defensive player, but then she realized how open she was, and we kept demanding, not asking her to, demanding that she shoot it, and it started going in. And once that ball starts going in, a kid's confidence is going to rise on both ends of the floor. You're going to be better offensively, and your confidence is going to be better defensively.
Yeah, well, again, in that title game, I mean, she was making her shots and in the big stage, in the big arena, and she took the shots. And it wasn't like she got tight. I mean, everything was very fluid, and she just looked like she belonged there.
Yeah. And she's one of those kind of carefree kids, too. She's one of those kids, you see she came with red hair, right? Mm-hmm. She got that bright red hair. So she's just one of those kids that's real carefree, doesn't let a lot. Now, she get upset on bad calls, but she's a kid that can at times she's learning to let things go, move on to the next play. Was what she did a better job as the season went on.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the things I admired with your squad is with your small squad.
We had a small army.
Well, the intensity that your kids played with, and not allowing their lack of numbers to slow them down in terms of playing hard, especially if they were with fouls. Because I mean, I don't know what the rules would have been if kids had fouled out and you were less than 5 players. Would you play with 4 if that happened, or 3?
You play with what you got, 4 kids. But obviously we would have had a few players on the bench, so we would have had a sub in the game. So if you foul out and only have 4 kids, 5 kids total, you only can play with 4. It happened to me at C Prep one time. We it was in a situation where we fouled out and we only had 4 kids. It was 4 against 5. So it does happen.
Yeah, I mean, but like I say, the kids played hard. They didn't allow the intensity and the pressure of the game to slow them down. I thought that was spoke well.
Well, Mr. Olsen, that's not by mistake. You can't win with 7 kids. I used to believe that all coaching was all about preparation. It is, but there's a small piece of luck in there too. Really, when I luck, what I mean is when you got 7 kids, you can't have a kid turn an ankle. You can't have a kid with a hamstring issue. All those small things that you can deal with 15 kids or 12 kids. You got 7. All them little injuries make a difference. Like, you know what I mean? So that's what I mean. We had a lot this year where Kiani was hurt early, but we didn't have our star players deal with any major injuries. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now, at least wasn't nagged with an ankle all season, or Serenity wasn't nagged with a bad back. Our best players were healthy. And on top of that, we were in great shape. Like I said, it's no mistake. As a coaching staff, we did a lot of running in practice by intention. But our practices were shorter this year. It was more intense but shorter. So we didn't go typically a full 2 hours. We would go 1 hour and 20 minutes hard, and we let them go. Because if we went 2 hours all season with 7 kids, there's no way we'd have lasted all season.
So how do you practice with less than 10?
Yeah.
I mean, are you scrimmaging? And if you do, who's picking up the empty slots?
Well, assistant coaches pick it up. Luckily, we had some coaches who are still in great shape. Coach Lucas just finished a year of basketball. Coach Sawyer just finished. And Coach Ferraro is in great shape. So we had 7 plus 3, that's 10, right?
Okay.
So we had 10 kids. And at times I had to jump in there and get up and down the court a little bit, but not as much because I've learned in coaching that it's impossible to try to play and coach at the same time and make corrections. So we were able to figure it out. It wasn't as quality at times as we wanted it to be, but really it became more quality at the end of the season when the JV boys were done. So when their season was over, we had about 4 or 5 JV boys that would practice with us every day, and they would really get up and down the court, pressure the kids, defend. We had to really defend in order to stop them. So they came along at the most important time, and the most important time was right around the middle of February when they were in there consistent. So it kind of just fell into place, so to speak. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
But for those folks who all, when they see in the paper that you've got a team of 7, I think we're just discussing, well, how'd you make it happen?
Yeah.
I mean, what's going on when it's not game time?
Yeah.
We see games. Public doesn't see practice.
Exactly. But
They don't see the behind-the-scenes stuff that you're talking about.
But that's the things as a coach, when you realize you have a chance to be special only with 7, either you can sit around and mope about it, right? Mm-hmm. Or you can figure out how to make it work. And we did. We just figured it out. We pieced it together. Okay, some practices we didn't have, but really we'd only have two JV kids there. Sometimes Coach Lucas couldn't make it to a practice. Sometimes Coach Farrar, be honest with you, sometimes we only had 8 people there. But you can still scrimmage 4-on-4, right? You can figure it out. It's all about the mindset of the coach. If you sit around and mope, darn, we don't got 5 today. This ain't what we got today. The kids gonna have the same attitude. If you ask our kids, we weren't one of them coaching staff talking about what we ain't got, what we ain't gonna do, what we can't do. We ain't one of them staffs. The kids never heard that message in practice. It's all about, all right, we never talked about, we only got 8 kids. We never said that. This is the drill we're doing today. Let's go.
Yep. Now, this season, you had a varsity squad.
Uh-huh.
There was no freshman squad and no JV squad. Is that correct?
None.
So where are players going to come from next year and the year after to fill up these teams?
We got some players coming in now. There's some kids coming off my AAU team that are going to be really good. They're going to take a while to learn how to play at the high school level. But right now, as long as you have some kids that have some skill sets you can work on, they have the ability to shoot the ball, they can handle the rock, they have the body to defend. You can put all that stuff together and put them in a team concept. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So we're going to have some solid kids next year. I think with winning this year, there's more people interested in coming to New London.
Winning does cure a lot of...
winning cures a lot of stuff. Winning can cure a lot of stuff. And I think we're going to... The program is on top, meaning we're winning, but we're going to get back to having a JV team. Might even have enough next year for a freshman. We'll see. But I know we'll definitely have enough for a JV team and a varsity team, which will be exciting for us to be able to pull from next year.
And when it comes to scheduling, is that your bailiwick, or is that something that Orby gets involved with as well?
Well, I thank Mr. Orby for letting me be flexible. I can say everywhere I've been, every AD has allowed me to kind of play who I'd like to play, but be in reason, right? I want to play the best, man. Not just the best, but I want to go out and travel so our kids can see other levels of competition, right? We'll travel to New York. I've been going to New York since I coached at the high school level. I like to play in this little tournament in Brooklyn, New York, this little small Cracker Jack gym. They got the music pumping, and the guy on the mic is hype, and the referees let you play. And I love going there every year. We get to go on a Saturday, we come back, and then we'll go back on a Monday. And then I like to try to play a team or two out of Boston. Next year, I'm trying to get a team out of Philadelphia to come down to New London. Or we can travel out to New Jersey, which is not too far away. You know, we're not yet in a place where we can travel to D.C. and stay 2 or 3 nights. We're not quite there yet. But we can travel the 2.5-hour bus ride to New Jersey, play, and come right back, right? Yeah. So that's where we are, and play really quality teams from New Jersey, New York, and Rhode Island got us some quality teams.
So you know going into the season who your ECC opponents are going to be, your league opponents.
Oh yeah.
And where you'll be playing, whether it be home or in their gym. So that leaves you X amount of dates to fill out your schedule.
Yeah.
So that's where you are going to pick up these games in these out of state or even perhaps in state if it's against a quality opponent.
I want to play quality teams in state too. Don't get me wrong. I talked a lot about out of state, but there's some really quality teams in Connecticut too. You know, a lot of teams want to call you and you know, what I've learned is a lot of teams want to call and everybody want to play at home. I want to play at home too, right? But a lot of teams, when they know you're really good, they want to play at their home place. which we'll do at times, but I also want to bring quality teams to our gym so people can come support our kids. Because you go on the road, you don't got so many fans there, right? But when you're at home, more people can see the quality of the players you have and the quality of opponents you're playing and really enjoy a quality basketball game.
Well, I remember it must be at least 2 decades ago with the boys. They brought Lincoln High School from New York into New London, and that gym was packed to the rafters. I mean, it was exciting, and New London won.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to do here, and we will. I've done it at the previous schools I was at. It took a while, but because this year I didn't schedule. There were some teams who wanted to play that were really good, but there's a big difference between playing a team who's really good that's got 12 really great players, and I got 7. You feel what I'm saying? So you want to make sure that you line your schedule up when you do play a quality team that good, that's that deep, that you have enough players to be able to play that deep as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things you mentioned regarding the colleges and the ability to move, the portal and all.
Yeah.
It appears to me that even at the high school level that there's more movement now than, I mean, I'm at a point in my life where I'm like a dinosaur. I mean, when you went to high school, you went to London High, you played for the hometown team. You didn't think about going to another school meant going to like St. Bernard's. That was it. But kids' movement now is almost unfettered. And then you've got, I believe, Mike DeMauro, who was a guest here a while back, and he's written about this, the name, image, likeness that the college players have at their fingertips actually has trickled down into the CIAC is allowing it at the high school level. I mean, are either of these things impacting how you have to do your job?
Not yet. Not yet. I say yet because there's so many things that trickle down that might take a little bit of time to reach a school like New London. You got to remember, NILs, name, image, likeness athletes are typically those athletes that are at schools that have elite programs, right? The schools where Sierra Calhoun, where the LeBron James kids, those type of kids, or the school in New York, Archbishop, all these Malloy, these big time schools. Usually those type of kids are at those type of schools, but it's only going to be a matter of time where you're going to have some kids that are getting NLIs where a local company, restaurant, organization is willing to sponsor, so to speak, a kid to just draw people into their community and draw people into their restaurant or their business. So it's going to come. Just give it some time. It's coming. Now, these kids locally are not going to get $1 million contracts. They're going to, because we're actually talking about this in one of my business entertainment classes. You're going to see more sponsorship, small things like a restaurant saying, if we can use your name and image and likeness, here's $700. You see what I'm saying? So it's going to move small, and then it's going to grow eventually. It might even get to where local kids are making, $500,000 a year, but it's not quite there yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things that you touched on this at the top of the program in regards for the need to take care of your academic business is that the amount of people who are playing professionally, WNBA, NBA level is, it's minuscule.
3%.
I mean, a lot of terrific ball players have come through New London High School and our region.
Yeah.
And we've got one right now in the NBA, and that's Chris Dunn. And even he, who was a lottery pick, I mean, his career has kind of had fits and starts, and he's latched on to Utah. And good for him and good for our region, and because he's a real nice young man. Talk about representing your community well. I mean, Chris has been terrific. But the odds of making it there are like I say, just so tiny.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got the Indy Pagan who's playing, I believe, in Germany. Is that come out of our program? And there's not a lot. Tyson Wheeler has operated just below the NBA, and he's now an assistant coach at Brown.
Yeah,
hopefully he may get an opportunity to coach at the college level as a head coach. I think that is an aspiration that he has. But it's very, very competitive. Yeah. And the kids have got to realize that, they may end up being a high school teacher, or they may be a cop, or be whatever it may be that they're going to do. Yeah. But everybody is not going to be the star.
They're not. And, you make that comment, and what I've learned in my years of coaching is more women realize that than the guys. More of the young females realize I'm probably not going to be able to play in the WNBA or overseas because there's less opportunities, right? How many WNBA teams are there? 10? 12?
About.
And how many NBA teams are there?
30.
Yeah.
There's 360 jobs.
Yeah.
And every year, you're lucky if each team turns over a player.
Exactly. So the WNBA has become more competitive. Even though the opportunity is there, it's still tough, right? So our young ladies, for the most part, realize the dream, the opportunity to play the WNBA, but they're not putting all their marbles in one basket. Yeah. They realize that the opportunity is there, presents itself, but I probably know I'm going to need to get this 4-year degree. I'm probably going to need to get this master's degree to get what I want to really get in life. So I think the realization is more so the women catch on a little bit quicker than the brothers. The young men.
Yep. Well, it's challenging. Not everybody's going to be the next Michael Jordan.
Yeah. You say Michael Jordan. Let's take a player who's not Michael Jordan. Name a kid in the league who's not on Michael Jordan's level. Okay, Andre Drummond, right? Yeah. Andre Drummond. We talk about the highest level athletes, but let's talk about the NBA player who doesn't get any hype. They're still making $2 or $3 million a year.
Listen, the guy at the end of the bench, the 12th player in the NBA, is making a good living.
Good living. So we talk about people having the struggle of being LeBron James. People still gonna struggle to even be the 12th guy on the bench. Yeah.
And the guy who's the 12th guy on the bench is making a good living. He wants to keep his job.
That's all he's trying to do.
He's not anxious to leave. Yeah. Here, you take my job. Exactly. No, he wants to keep that job.
Yeah. So, one of those things that is becoming more and more of a challenge with athletes is getting them to understand, your sport is important, but eventually your body's going to break down, all those things. We don't know what type of injuries may get in the way, right? But we do know all those things can happen. But if I still got the degree, I can still move on in life and still get what I want and have a great job, have a solid be a solid citizen, get back to my community, have a home, have a car, be able to go on a nice vacation every now and then. I can still have the small luxuries in life.
Yeah. Now, have you, since you've been out in New London, been able to cultivate any kind of rapport with the local college coaches, or even just in Connecticut, Rhode Island? I mean, there's a lot of colleges. It's beyond, Conn or Mitchell. Coast Guard's kind of special as a military academy. But Eastern Connecticut, Yale, Sacred Heart, there's Fairfield.
Absolutely, I wouldn't be doing my job because I have kids that can play at the next level. I have to be on the phone, sending the email saying, "Come check this kid out." I shouldn't be here if I'm not, because I have kids that are going to be coming through my program. They're going to have the opportunity and the skill set to play Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, the JUCO level. So it is my responsibility to make sure I get on the phone, I have communication with the local colleges and say, you need to get out here and see this kid play.
Well, I know, like I said, I enjoy watching our kids if they're within reach. And Mitchell and Conn certainly fall into that category.
We got some kids we have a former player, I don't know if you know, we have a former player of New London, Jemiah Badeau, who was Rookie of the Year at Mitchell this past year, right? And then I have a former player, her name is Dee Dee Stevenson. She played for me at Capital Prep. She's on the team at Mitchell. And I also have another former player, Capital Prep.
Dee Dee was fun to watch.
She was fun in high school, little short thing. Yeah. Fun to watch, energetic. And then another kid, Najee White, who's finishing her career up at Mitchell. So Mitchell's a solid school. It's a good place where kids can land and have a good career.
Yep. Now, coming from your AAU coaching now, will you be with this through the spring and through the summer? And
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like it's a year-round deal here.
Not for me. I'm a different AAU coach because I coach high school. I'd be worn out if I did this thing year-round. I'm actually worn out right now because it was a tough season. We just finished. March 19th was our last game, and we had our first AAU practice March 26th. So I'm tired. You know, you just come in and say, when you're in a high school season, I'm different than a lot of coaches in how I run my program. It's a long season. You're there I get up in the morning, work out 5 o'clock, and I'm there sometimes to 8:30 at night. If you have a game, you don't get home to 10, 11 o'clock at night. You're doing that for a solid 4.5 months. So you're worn out. Then I'm the full-time teacher. So you're worn out. So I'm worn out. But I have an obligation. You know, I have an obligation to the girls. I'm coaching the team. I have an assistant. So he helps me a lot at times if I can't be there. Yeah. So it's good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the evolution of high school athletics. I mean, AAU was not prevalent 30, 40, 50 years ago. I mean, this is something that's relatively new on the scene, and I think some of the older folks having a hard time understanding it, how it interacts and works. But you seem to have a good finger on the pulse. Well,
there's a time and a place for everything. I'm not a huge AAU fan per se because I think it's turned into a money racket. But I run my program a little bit different. We really work on skills, developing the player. There's an expectation you have to work outside of practice, and I check in on that. So I'm a little bit different. So I think some AAUs, they just show up on a weekend that's play. They may practice 1 day a week, right? We practice solidly about 3 to 4 days a week, really putting in the work with the kids, not just scrimmaging. We're working on half-court defense. We're working on transition defense. We're working on we're not running a bunch of sets, just giving them an idea of how to be structured, right? Mm-hmm. So I think we're running a solid program. I think if people saw our AAU team, they would say, those girls are pretty solid.
And how many games do you play, and where do you play?
AAU, we don't go too far. Now, I'm one of these coaches, and I ain't running all over the place. I'm a little different from high school. I run all over the place for high school. But AAU, we play pretty much local. Last weekend, we were in Fiskdale, Mass. And I can't even name the school. Tansquasqua, some school in Fiskdale, Mass. We were there for the weekend. This coming weekend, we'll be down in Wallingford and Hamden at a tournament for both our 6th and 8th grade team. And then we'll be going up to Boston. And then we're just all over the local area. No more than an hour and 45 minutes away is where far we'll branch out. We don't need to run all over the country or over the region. Our kids just need game experience. A lot of kids just need more game experience.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I think there's a stereotype, and stereotypes can be dangerous, that the AAU programs promote the individual more than the team, where, you know, at the high school level, you're trying to foster team. Mm-hmm. And if you get a kid coming in from AAU, that they're looking at themselves before they look at the team. Now, maybe I'm being unfair there, but it appears we've got a phone call, so we're going to transition to a phone call here.
All right, cool.
Good evening, you're on the air.
Good evening. Well, good evening, Marty and Coach Millsap.
Good evening. How are you, ma'am?
Very good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Great. I just wanted to note, congratulations to you and the team. I really am in awe with the performance of those girls. They are so good.
Yes, ma'am.
And also, I just, want to go to my friend. I was fortunate enough to see them play several games at the high school. But being undermanned and yet won the state championship game at Mohegan's was truly awesome. So it's a great teamwork involved in all of this, thanks to you and the girls. And I really enjoyed the game. And please keep that positive attitude. Good night, and God bless.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the call. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep, people in the community do pay attention.
That's good. That's a positive thing. We're trying to shine a positive light on New London. There's a lot of things going on in the community, and we just know there's some good things going on at that high school. Some good things.
And that's has to be worked on all the time. And I think it needs to be reinforced with the kids. I mean, there are those in our area that will look at any opportunity to put their thumb in New London's eye.
Oh yeah,
And,
I've sensed that.
And we as a community have got to. I mean, we have to be aware of it, and sometimes we have to be maybe a little bit better than we should have to be. But you know what? We have to do it because it's required, and to break down again stereotypes that we're a good community and we got good young people, and they deserve our support.
Absolutely. In every community, there's always some bad in every community. There's people not doing the right thing, but there's more people doing the right thing than are doing the wrong thing. You just happen to hear about the wrong thing because that's what sells papers. That's what sells news.
Well, that's true. Although I must say the New High School girls team got some good positive press there. And,
that's good. Well, I'm excited. We get to go down to the state capitol tomorrow. That's pretty cool. We get to go down to the state capitol tomorrow and take the team and be honored by the governor, and we actually get to meet the Yukon men. They'll be there tomorrow, so that'll be pretty cool.
How about that? They bring in all the champions.
That'll be pretty cool. Amazing. Yukon had an amazing run, did they not?
Well, I wonder if they'll bring in the Quinnipiac hockey team.
The hockey team, yes.
National champs.
Absolutely.
I enjoy watching college hockey.
I do too. I like hockey too.
That's kind of fun. Well, you know, we're running out of time here. It's amazing that the time just slips by here. But is there anything you'd like to share with our audience that perhaps we haven't had an opportunity to address so far?
Well, I haven't. The only thing is, moving forward for the summer, we will be offering. I don't have the dates yet. The dates for our camp. But last summer was the first camp, basketball camp that New London, is what I understood, has had. So this year we'll be offering another camp. It'll probably be at the beginning of August. Don't have the dates. Last year we had a great turnout. We had about 42 kids. It was great for the first time. Really solid turnout. So this year I'm looking forward to seeing more kids from New London and from local towns come through. We don't charge a whole lot of money. Be $100 for 4 days. Get some good instruction. Be around some quality coaches. So we're looking forward to having more kids out this summer.
That's terrific. Well, Coach, I want to thank you for taking some time out to
thank you, sir.
Be on the program, and keep following your program.
Please
and
do.
Look forward to having you back and check in and see what's going on. So thanks a bunch.
Thank you, sir. Looking forward to a great season.
Okay, and next week, folks, my scheduled guest will be Jim Bunicor from Ledyard High School, New London alum. And he's also very active at the ECC level, and I'm interested to get his take on what's going on with the league here that represents Eastern Connecticut. So with that, we'll say thank you and good night.